All praises. Can we? Oh, sound check. All praises. There we go. All right, we ready to rock and roll. All right, all praises. So yeah, last week we talked about trumpets, and I mentioned that we would go in this direction if the Father allowed, and yeah, here we are. So today's study meditation is just rebuilding the temple in you, right? So yeah, without further ado, I guess we can get started.
All praises.
All praises. So in the last lesson, we looked at Yom Teruah and its significance in the feast day cycle. We discussed how it leads us to the next appointed time, which is atonement. We also looked at how in the days of Ezra and Nehemiah, there was a call to rebuild the temple that just so happened to occur during the fall feast season, beginning on Yom Teruah. So the scope of today's lesson is centered around us applying this concept today during our fall feast cycle. So remember, these appointed times are set up as memorials and rehearsals because they are preparing us for something greater to come. All right, so to the right, we got some diagrams and some blueprints to just kind of keep in mind as we're going through the lesson. So you got the tabernacle and the temple blueprint, right? And what you will see is that they're fashioned in such a way that they can resemble man. So you'll see, like especially the one on the bottom there, how they have everything divided off, and you'll see the holy of holies or the set apart, like the kadosh kadoshim, the most set apart place. You'll see the set apart place. Then you'll see, you know, the courtyard area and how it all lines up. The two pillars, when we're talking about the temple, you'll see the two pillars that laid out are like the legs. These two wings were the priestly quarters, which are basically like the arms and hands. So yeah, so just keep all of that in mind. Like the concept of you being the temple is not something that is as new as we might think it is. Like a lot of times, the assumption is that these were new concepts, but really they've always been there. So all praises. So at this point, I'm sure most of us are familiar with the concept of being a type of us being a type of temple, right? So 1 Corinthians 3:16, do you not know that you are a dwelling place of Elohim and that the spirit of Elohim dwells in you? Then 1 Corinthians 6:19 says, or do you not know that your body is the dwelling place of the set apart spirit who is in you, which you have from Elohim, and you are not your own? For you were bought with a price. Therefore, esteem Elohim in your body and in your spirit, which are of Elohim. All right. So today, when this concept is brought up, it's usually used to diminish the temple of old. However, today we'll be taking the opposite approach. So the question will be, how can you function as the temple of Elohim without first understanding the function of the temple of Elohim? Right. So
That's a question.
our goal today will be to maximize the purpose of the temple in us today. Right. So it's not at all going to be exhaustive, although this is a kind of a little bit of a longer lesson. But this is the topic is so expansive, yeah, that yeah, we are by no means gonna touch on everything, but kind of just point out a couple things as we go, and just get the wheel spinning, and hopefully in your own leisure, you'll be able to self reflect and take it from there.
All praises.
All right, so the purpose of the temple. So here's the question. The question was, what was the original purpose of the temple slash tabernacle? Right. So we always go over, and we've heard it many, many times, right? We're the temple. But the question is, you're gonna be lost if you don't know what the original purpose of the temple or tabernacle was. Then you saying that really won't be rooted in anything or founded in anything if you don't even know what context that's meant in, right? So Deuteronomy 12, it says, "These are the laws and right rulings which you guard to do in the land which Yahuwah your Elohim, or Yahuwah Elohim of your fathers, is giving you to possess all the days that you live on the soil. Completely destroy all the places where the nations which you are dispossessing serve their mighty ones, on the high mountains and on the hills and under every green tree. And you shall break down their slaughter places or their altars, and smash their pillars, and burn their asherim with fire. And you shall cut down the carved images of their mighty ones, and shall destroy their name out of that place. Do not do so to Yahuwah your Elohim, but seek the place which Yahuwah your Elohim chooses out of all your tribes to put his name there for his dwelling place, and there you shall enter. And there you shall take your ascendant offerings and your slaughters or your sacrifices and your tithes and the contributions of your hand and your vowed offerings and your voluntary offerings and the firstlings of your herd and of your flock. And there you shall eat before Yahuwah your Elohim, and shall rejoice in all that you put your hand to, you and your households, in which Yahuwah your Elohim has blessed you." Right. So we see three primary focuses or focal points right there of what this place where he's going to decide to put his name, how it's supposed to function. Right. One is that it's the dwelling place of Elohim. Right. It's a place for him to set his name. Next, verse 6 lays out that it's a place for offerings and sacrifices to be made. And then verse 7, it's a place for praise and worship to Elohim. Right? Now, as we go through the lesson, we're gonna see how each one of those things is gonna come with requirements. It's right ways and wrong ways to do all of those things. Right? In order to be a dwelling place for Elohim, for any place to be a dwelling place for Elohim, which is one has to be a place that he chooses, right? Then we know that many are called. So you don't see how all of this is all a reflection of you.
All praises.
All praises. And let me know when we told to go. All praises. So verse 8 says, "Do not do as we are doing here today, each one doing whatever is right in his own eyes, because you have not yet entered the rest and the inheritance which Yahuwah your Elohim is giving you. But you shall pass over the Jordan or the Jordan, and shall dwell in the land which Yahuwah your Elohim is giving you to inherit. And he shall give you rest from all your enemies round about, and you shall dwell in safety. And it shall be," again, that we talking about this dwelling place, "that unto the place which Yahuwah your Elohim chooses to make his name dwell there you are to bring all that I command you, your ascendant offerings, excuse me, and your slaughters, and your tithes, and your contributions of your hand, and all of your choice offerings which you vow to Yahuwah. And you shall rejoice before Yahuwah your Elohim, you and your sons and your daughters, and your male servants and your female servants, and the Levite who is within your gates, since he has no portion nor inheritance with you. Guard yourself that you do not offer your ascendant offerings in every place that you see, except in the place which Yahuwah chooses. in one of your tribes, there you are to offer your ascendant offerings, and there you are to do all that I command you. Right? So again, we see these same themes laid out again as he's continuing in the conversation.
All praises.
Leviticus 26:11 says, and I shall set my dwelling place in your midst, and my being shall not reject you. So something about his dwelling place being in your midst, you're gonna have to get some acceptance and not be rejected. Why this is taking place. Verse 12, it says, and I shall walk in your midst and shall be your Elohim, and you shall be my people. Notice that this is the covenant made with Abraham. So we don't see how the function of this temple slash tabernacle, this thing that he's trying to do with this place, is integral with the covenant. Like this is the embodiment, this is the fulfillment of that covenant. Is that he's going to have his tabernacle in the midst of man, and I'm going to be able to be right here with you. All praises. Verse 13, it says, I am Yahuwah your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Mizraim from being their slaves. And I have broken the bars of your yoke and made you walk upright. So now notice that again, is something with what he's providing is going to be the doorway into this. First is there's some slavery to something or some bondage. Then it's freedom that's going to be granted. And then from that, it's things that you're going to have to do on your part to get this place set up. Right? So we're going to see how the covenant made with Abraham is linked to the dwelling place of Elohim. Right? So Exodus 29, verse 41, it says, and prepare the other lamb between the evenings, and with it prepare the grain offering and the drink offering, as in the morning for a sweet fragrance, an offering made by fire to Yahuwah, a continual ascendant offering for your generations at the door of the tent of appointment before Yahuwah, where I shall meet with you to speak with you. And there I shall meet with the children of Israel. Where is the there? The there is this tabernacle slash temple. And it shall be set apart by my esteem. And I shall set apart the tent of appointment and the slaughter place. And Aaron and his sons I set apart to serve as priests to me. And I shall dwell in the midst of the children of Israel, and shall be their Elohim. And they shall know that I am Yahuwah, their Elohim, who brought them up out of the land of Mizraim to dwell in their midst. I am Yahuwah, their Elohim. Right? So we tracking again. The whole purpose of this temple is to be a dwelling place for his name. Some with that comes some sacrifices, some offerings, some praise. Seems simple, right? That part. Ezekiel 37:21. So it says, and speak to them, thus said the Master Yahuwah. See, I am taking the children of Israel from among the nations, wherever they have gone, and shall gather them from all around, and I shall bring them into their land. And I shall make them one nation in the land, on the mountains of Israel. And one king or one sovereign shall be sovereign over them all, and let them no longer be two nations, and let them no longer be divided into two kingdoms or two reigns. And they shall no longer defile themselves with their idols, nor with their disgusting matters, nor with any of their transgressions. And I shall save them from all their dwelling places in which they have sinned, and I shall cleanse them. And they shall be my people, and I be their Elohim. Again, we keep having to keep coming back to this covenant. Anytime that we're talking about this temple and this dwelling place, it's going to keep coming back to this covenant because that is the essence of it. While David, my servant, is sovereign over them, and they shall all have one shepherd and walk in my right rulings and guard my laws and shall do them. And they shall dwell in the land that I have given to Jacob, my servant, where your fathers dwelt. and they shall dwell in it, they and their children's children forever. And my servant David be their prince forever. And I shall make a covenant of peace with them, an everlasting covenant it is with them. And I shall place them and increase them, and shall place my set apart place in their midst forever. And my dwelling place shall be over them, and I shall be their Elohim, and they shall be my people. And the nation shall know that I, Yahuwah, am setting Israel apart when my set apart place is in their midst forever. Hmm. So keep in mind that the people that were permitted to go to this place also had his name on them. So not only is his name put on this place, but his name is also put on the people that come to this place. So again, we're gonna see how this concept is not so much of a new concept. This has really been a plan that he's been trying to lay out the whole time. It's just that without eyes to see it, it was missed. Without really understanding what the Father was trying to put down, it was missed. It was overlooked. It was few, at least that was recorded, that was they they understood it. Moses understood it, right? David understood it, but we see where it was a lot that misunderstood it and they just thought it was just a physical thing that was going on, but it wasn't. So we will see as we go on that the plan has always been that we were a type of tabernacle slash temple for Yahuwah's name to be placed, right? Numbers chapter 6, verse 22, it says, And Yahuwah spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to Aaron and his sons, saying, This is how you bless the children of Israel. Say to them, Yahuwah bless you and guard you. Yahuwah make his face shine upon you and show favor to you. Yahuwah lift up his face upon you and give you peace. They thus shall put my name on the children of Israel, and I myself shall bless them. So again, right there we see his name being put on the people. All praises. So you don't see how the place and the people got to be on one accord, right? And anytime that the place and the people wasn't on one accord, we got issues. That's when you find like Philistines running up on the ark and taking it with them, and Babylonians and Romans destroying the dwelling place, and all of these negative things happening because the people weren't functioning or operating as the temple of Elohim. Deuteronomy 28, verse 9, it says, Yahuwah does establish you as a set apart people to himself. So again, you see, this is a set apart place, and he's establishing us as a set apart people. As he sworn to you, if you guard the commands of Yahuwah, your Elohim, and walk in his ways. So that means that something about these commands had to be in you. Then we're going to see that these commands is also in the temple, right? They don't be in the Ark of the Covenant. You're going to have this in you. Again, remember, all of this is all laying out the covenant. So you getting a pattern of it that you interacting with, but it's really trying to express something to you about what you're supposed to be. Verse 10, it says, And all the peoples of the earth shall see that the name of Yahuwah is called upon you, and they shall be afraid of you. Right? So one of the purposes of his people was that he would use them to make a name for himself or spread his name in the earth. 2 Samuel 7:23. He says, And who is like your people, like Israel, like one nation, the one nation on the earth whom Elohim went to ransom for himself as a people, to make for himself a name, and to do for you greatness and awesome deeds for your land before your people, whom you ransom for yourself from Mizraim, from the nations and their mighty ones. And you have established for yourself your people Israel as your own people forever. And you, Yahuwah, have become their Elohim. Right? So it was something that we had a duty to the nations to be what? a light, and all these kinds of things. And we're gonna find what all of this is all part of the temple slash tabernacle pattern. So Psalm 50, verse 5, just that verse says, Gather my lovingly committed ones together to me, those who have made a covenant with me by slaughtering or sacrifice. Right? Leviticus 17, verse 1 says, And Yahuwah spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to Aaron, to his sons, and to all the children of Israel, and say to them, This is the word which Yahuwah has commanded, saying, Any man from the house of Israel who slays a bull or a lamb or a goat in the camp, or who slays it outside the camp, and does not bring it to the door of the tent of appointment, right? So it's supposed to be done at this place, or who slays it outside, or I'm sorry, verse 4 over again, and does not bring it to the door of the tent of appointment to bring an offering to Yahuwah before the dwelling place of Yahuwah, blood guilt is reckoned to that man. He has shed blood, and that man shall be cut off from among his people, in order that the children of Israel bring their slaughterings, which they slaughter in the open field. And they shall bring them to Yahuwah at the door of the tent of appointment, to the priest, and slaughter them as slaughterings of peace offerings to Yahuwah. And the priest shall sprinkle the blood on the slaughter place of Yahuwah at the door of the tent of appointment, and shall burn the fat for a sweet fragrance to Yahuwah. And let them no longer slaughter their slaughterings to demons, after whom they whored. This is a law forever for them throughout their generations. And say to them, Any man of the house of Israel, or of the strangers who shall join among you, who offers an ascendant offering or slaughtering, and does not bring it to the door of the tent of appointment, to do it to Yahuwah, that man shall be cut off from among his people. So here we see that the tabernacle and later the temple was a place that was designated for sacrifices and offerings to be made. Right? Now keep that Psalm 50, verse 5 in mind. Right? Made a covenant by sacrifice. Because the sacrifices, all of these things, like I keep saying, they're all interwoven within this covenant and being in covenant with Yahuwah. So the question is going to be, how did these things work in us today, with us being a temple and us entering into covenant with Yahuwah? How do these things work in us today? Right? And we find that throughout different phases in the history of our people, you will find that the temple would get neglected. And it would be things that were supposed to be being done that, as time passes, get a little laxed. Then before you know it, it gets to a point to where it's like, it's just a place over there, but don't nobody really use it. And so again, title of the lesson is Rebuilding the Temple in You. Just something to keep in mind. So offerings of the temple, right? One of the functions of it is that we have a way to draw near, right? So Leviticus lays out so there's a number missing. 5 primary types of offerings that were to be made at the tabernacle / temple, right? So the burnt offering, the grain offering, the peace offering, the sin offering, and the guilt / trespass offering, right? So each of these offerings were designed to teach us a powerful spiritual revelation. We won't have the time to go in depth on all of these offerings, but we will see that there is a significance to them being done at the tabernacle / temple, the place where he placed his name, right? So you don't even see how all of these sacrifices and offerings were designed in such a way that with the right eyesight, you will see that all of these things are supposed to be teaching you something that is way beyond just right here in the physical realm. This is a pattern or a blueprint that came from before this place was even established, and it's supposed to be conveying a spiritual revelation to us. All of these things you can offer yourself as a living sacrifice, and all of these things have a place within you. Con. Yeah, and basically, like, you'll find that the other offerings will fit within the scope of these. So yeah, all praises. So we'll take a look at the burnt offering. We won't look at the other ones again for the sake of time, but we will take a quick glance at the burnt offering just for a second. All right, so the burnt offering, for instance, found in Leviticus 1, lays out a process for drawing near to Elohim. Right, so Leviticus 1 and 1 says, and Yahuwah called to Moses and spoke to him from the tent of appointment, saying, speak to the children of Israel and say to them, when any one of you brings an offering to Yahuwah, you bring your offering of the livestock, of the herd, or of the flock. If his offering is an ascending offering, let of the herd, let him bring a male, a perfect one. Let him bring it at the door of the tent of appointment for his acceptance before Yahuwah. So earlier we talked about him not rejecting you, and now we seeing, okay, well, what is that process for acceptance, right? Then again, keep in mind that Psalm 50 made a covenant with me by sacrifice. So notice here that the purpose of the sacrifice was that it was for acceptance. It served as a way to draw near to Elohim, right? And when you look at that word there in the red, it's H7133 korban. That is something that is brought near, or is brought near to the altar. That is a sacrificial present, an oblation that is offered, an offering, and it comes from 7126 karab, which means to approach, causatively to bring near for whatever purpose, to cause to approach, to cause to bring forth or bring near, to come near, to draw near, right? To be at hand, to join, right? So the function of these offerings is to give you an opportunity to be able to draw near to Elohim. All praises. So how can this be applied to your bodily temple today that you may be accepted before Yahuwah? Right? That's the question. Because again, when we look at us being the temple, there's a way that all of these things, while we might not physically be going to the temple, there is a way for us to implement that in our being, right? Drawing near, can we just draw near any old kind of way? Right?
Unless you're looking for trouble.
Mm, mm. All praises. Mm. So just something to keep in mind, right?
Yes, sir.
If nothing else, we can walk away with getting an understanding for, okay, well, what was they doing here? Well, we see that he had to bring something that was perfect to this altar. It had to be without spot or blemish, right? You yourself, there's a priest there, right? Because we know Mashiach is our high priest, but you have to bring your own offering to the table. The priest doesn't bring that for you, right? When you get there are things that you're going to be responsible for doing in this offering, and there are things that the priest is going to be responsible for doing in the offering. But you got to kill your own sacrifice. That part is on you. You don't put it up on you. You got to kill it. He going to take it. Then he going to offer it. So is what you bring, all of that's going to be all up on you. It's on you. I don't care how tobe of a priest you have, how tobe of a high priest you have. If you bring something that ain't right to the altar, there's nothing he can do for you except get his own self in trouble if he offer it for you. Right? Mm. All praises. Isaiah 29 and 13. It says, and Yahuwah says, because this people has drawn near with its mouth, and with its lips they have esteemed me, and it has kept its heart far from me, and their faith and their fear of me has become a command of men that is taught. Right? So there's a right way to draw near and there's a wrong way to draw near. All praises. Matthew 7, verse 1. It says, and the Pharisees and some of the scribes assembled to him, having come from Jerusalem, and seeing some of his taught ones eat bread with defiled, that is, with unwashed hands, they found fault. For the Pharisees and all the Yahudim do not eat unless they wash their hands thoroughly, holding fast to the tradition of the elders. And coming from the marketplace, They do not eat unless they wash. And there are many other traditions which they have received and hold fast: the washing of cups and utensils, and copper vessels and couches. Then the Pharisees and scribes asked him, "Why do your taught ones not walk according to the tradition of the elders, but eat bread with unwashed hands?" And he answering said to them, "Well did Isaiah prophesied concerning you hypocrites, as it has been written, His people respect me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. And in vain they do worship me, teaching as teachings the commands of men. Forsaking the command of Elohim, you hold fast the tradition of men." And he said to them, Well, well do you set aside the command of Elohim in order to guard your tradition. For Moses said, "Respect your father and mother." But you say, if a man say to his father or mother, "Whatever profit you might have received from me is korban," that's the word that we just looked at for drawing near, right? This offering, you no longer let him do any matter at all for his father or his mother, nullifying the word of Elohim through your tradition which you have handed down. And many such traditions you do, right? So he's saying, how you gonna draw near to me and you ain't coming right?
Mm-hmm.
How you gonna draw near to me and you dishonoring your father and your mother? Basically using this as an excuse to say, I ain't gonna help you. Whatever I could have gave to you, I gave it to Elohim. I ain't giving you nothing, right? And the priest, of course, and Pharisees and Sadducees, because they're not priests, but they okay with this. Like I said, I don't care how tobe of a priest you got. If the offering ain't right, you ain't gonna do nothing but get yourself in trouble if you accept it instead of rejecting it before the Father. So if we not coming the right way before the Father through Mashiach, what we think is gonna happen? Is Mashiach just gonna stand for us, or is he gonna have to say, better luck next time. First, put this gift down, go get this right with your brother, then come, right? That's how he operates. That's what he gonna tell us. Nah, hold on. Before you bring that, go get the blemish out of yourself. Then I take that, right? All praises. Psalm 40, verse 1 says, I waited for Yahuwah, and he inclined to me and heard my cry. And he drew me out of the pit of destruction, out of the muddy clay, and he set my feet upon a rock. He is establishing my steps. Then he put a new song in my mouth, praise to our Elohim. Many do see it and fear and trust in Yahuwah. Blessed is that man who has made Yahuwah his trust and has not turned to the proud and those turning aside to falsehood. O Yahuwah my Elohim, many are the wonders which you have done and your purposes towards us. There is no one to compare with you, I declare and speak. There are too many to be numbered. Slaughtering and meal offering or grain offering you did not desire. This is all the way back in Psalms. So this is not a new concept if we got the eyes to see it. Because it's often like, this was the old way, and that old way was what he was, that was the end all be all. That's what he was after. No, it was set up in a form of a parable so that we can understand something heavenly through something physical. But the goal has always been our heart, and that we can operate and function the way that he would have us function. But what good is the altar if everything is defiled that's coming to the altar? It don't matter, right?
Everything that touches the altar is supposed to be set apart.
All praises. All praises. Slaughterings and meal offerings or grain offerings you did not desire. You have opened my ears. So this is the thing that I desire, right? Ascendant offering and sin offering you did not ask for. Then I said, see, I have come in the scroll of the book, or like they say in the volume of the book. It is prescribed for me. I have delighted to do your pleasure, O my Elohim, and your Torah is within my heart. I have proclaimed the Tob news of the good news of righteousness in the great assembly. See, I do not restrain my lips, O Yahuwah, you know. I did not conceal your righteousness within my heart. I have declared your trustworthiness and your deliverance. I did not hide your loving commitment and your truth from the great assembly. Then Hosea 14, verse 1 says, O Israel, return to Yahuwah your Elohim, for you have stumbled by your crookedness. Take words with you. And return to Yahuwah. Say to him, he's going to tell you what words to take. Take away all crookedness and accept what is good, and we render the bulls of our lips. Right? So it's always been a blueprint or a way for us to come and present ourselves before the Father, because that's really what it's always been about, is you making yourself the sacrifice. You're supposed to be able to look at this animal and say, he done made a way for accepting this on my behalf. He done made a way for this thing to die in my place. He done made a way for me to still be able to draw near and to come through this sacrifice, knowing, oh, I done brought this because of XYZ. Right? So again, just seeing, well, how does this translate today with us being the temple? And then we know that there was something or someone that was slain once and for all, right? For these same reasons, there's still sacrifices and offerings to be made within you. All praises. So the objective is that we draw near to Elohim with clean hands and a pure heart. So this is how we offer ourselves as a living sacrifice. Romans 12:1 says, I call upon you, therefore, brothers, through the compassion of Elohim, to present your bodies a living offering, set apart, well-pleasing to Elohim, your reasonable worship. And do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you prove what is that good and well-pleasing and perfect desire of Elohim. All right, so notice that there's a way and there's a right way and a wrong way to draw near to Elohim, right? Isaiah 66 verse 1 says, thus said Yahuwah, the heavens are my throne and the earth is my footstool. Where is this house that you build for me? And where is this place of my rest? So that means that even when he prescribed for the physical places to be built, it was always something grander and greater in his sight that he sees, right? If you only stopping at this physical dwelling place, then you already messed up, because he already told you, no, I put this there for you. I don't need this. This is here for you. So what are you supposed to be getting out of it? It says, and all these my hands has made, and all these that exist, declares Yahuwah. Yet to such a one I look, on him who is poor and bruised of spirit, and who trembles at my word. But whoever slays the bull strikes a man.
Yeah. Don't consider it an insignificant thing to keep killing these beasts, as if it's an insignificant thing to keep heaping sin upon sin.
All praises. Verse 3 says, but whoever slays a bull strikes a man. Whoever slaughters the lamb breaks a dog's neck. Whoever brings a grain offering, pig's blood. Whoever burns incense blesses an idol. Indeed, they have chosen their own ways, and their being delights in their abominations. I shall also choose their punishments and bring their fears on them, because I called, but no one answered. I spoke, and they did not hear. And they did evil before my eyes and chose what was displeasing to me. Hear the word of Yahuwah, you who tremble at his word. Your brothers who hate you, who cast you out from my name's sake, said, let Yahuwah be esteemed, so that we see your joy. But they are put to shame. Second Chronicles chapter 6 verse 1, right? So we don't see that it was never about this physical place. It was always about you and your interaction at it. We even see sacrifices and offerings taking place with Cain and Abel before these places existed, right?
Yes, sir.
All praises. So Second Chronicles 6:1 it says, Then Solomon said, Yahuwah has said he would dwell in the dark cloud, but I have built you an exalted house and a place for you to dwell in forever. And the king turned around and blessed all the assembly of Israel, while all the assembly of Israel stood. And he said, Blessed be Yahuwah Elohim of Israel, who has filled with his hands what he spoke with his mouth to my father David, saying, From the day that I brought my people out of the land of Mitzrayim or Egypt, I have chosen no city from any tribe of Israel in which to build a house for my name to be there. Nor did I choose any man to be a leader over my people Israel. But I have chosen Jerusalem for my name to be there. And I have chosen David to be over my people Israel. And it was in the heart of my father David to build a house for the name of Yahuwah Elohim of Israel. But Yahuwah said to my father David, because it was in your heart to build a house for my name, you did well in that it was in your heart. But you do not build the house for your son who comes forth from your loins. He does build the house for my name. Now, Yahuwah has established his word, which he spoke, and I have been raised up instead of my father David, and sit on the throne of Israel as Yahuwah promised. And I have built the house for the name of Yahuwah, Elohim of Israel. And there I have placed the ark, in which is the covenant of Yahuwah, which he made with the children of Israel. And he stood before the slaughter place of Yahuwah in front of all the assembly of Israel and spread out his hands. For Solomon had made a bronze platform 5 cubits long and 5 cubits broad and 3 cubits high, and had put it in the midst of the court. And he stood on it and knelt down on his knees before all the assembly of Israel and spread out his hands toward the heavens and said, Yahuwah Elohim of Israel, there is no Elohim in the heavens or on earth like you, guarding the covenant and loving commitment with your servants who walk before you with all their heart. So now again, we seeing this is a blueprint and has always been a blueprint of how we can come before and draw near to Elohim, who has guarded what you promised your servant David, my father. Indeed, you have both spoken with your mouth and have filled it with your hand as it is this day. And now, Yahuwah, Elohim of Israel, guard what you promised your servant David, my father, saying, There is not to cease a man of yours before me sitting on the throne of Israel. Only if your sons guard their way to walk in my Torah as you have walked before me. And now, O Yahuwah Elohim of Israel, let your word come true, which you have spoken to your servant David. For it is true, Elohim dwells with men on the earth. Right? So there was a certain understanding that they was understanding when they were setting up this temple, when they were setting up the tabernacle. Right? Hmm. See, the heavens and the heavens of the heavens are unable to contain you. How much less this house which I have built. So it was an understanding that he had of what was really going on here. He just got done saying, I'm gonna make a dwelling place for you, but then also acknowledges, but that's not what's really going on here. This ain't no dwelling place to contain you.
That part.
Nah, you just opening up a door and giving an opportunity for man to be able to commune with you.
Mm-hmm.
This is what the goal of this has been the whole time,
Mm-hmm.
i.e., your body is the living temple of Elohim.
And it just makes me, go ahead. No, it just makes me think. Even with the previous temple before Dawood wanted to make the brick and mortar, basically the wood, wooden
Mhm.
stone place. Uh, the previous temple, it was commanded that it be covered in skin.
Mhm. Mhm. All praises.
Speaking to like your diagram of how it looked, because it hadn't occurred to me that the pillars were supposed to look like the legs, and that there was a left side, like, because in my mind it looked so much different than that. In my mind it looked a little bit different, but with the priestly quarters being the arms, and then of course the most high being the head of it in the holiest of holies,
Mhm.
then the pillars looking like the legs, and all of the outer courts, inner courts, and
Mhm.
so on and so forth on the inside. And you think all of that is covered in skin.
Mhm.
And it's certain areas of it covered in brass, other
Mhm.
areas covered in gold, other utensils made out of brass, other
Mhm.
utensils made out of gold, and stuff like that.
Mhm.
It just brings it a little more clarity to it and brings it full circle for me. It's like, absolutely. He truly does call the end from the beginning,
Mhm.
because he could have commanded that you weave together wool.
Mhm.
No, he said, make this, cut these skins.
Mhm.
I want it covered in skin.
Mhm. All praises. All praises. Yep. All praises. So verse 19. So he says, "Yet shall you turn to the prayer of your servant and his supplication. O you who are my Elohim, to listen to the cry and to the prayer which your servant is praying before you. For your eyes to be open towards this house day and night, toward the place you have said to put your name there, to listen to the prayer which your servant prays toward this place. And shall you give heed to the supplications of your servant and your people Israel when they pray towards this place, and hear from your dwelling place in the heavens, and shall hear and forgive? If anyone sins against his neighbor and has lifted up an oath on him to cause him to swear, and comes and swears before your slaughter place in this house, then hear in the heavens and act and rightly rule your servants, repaying the wrong by bringing his way on his own head, and declare right the righteous by giving him according to his righteousness." So now you're gonna start seeing how what you bring in to this place is gonna be on your own head. You starting to see how, oh no, this place has always been a place where you come as a sacrifice. And that's gonna determine whether or not I'm gonna accept this or not. Right? Whether you're gonna be accepted, because again, like we saw earlier, it was for your acceptance. So that you can be accepted and so that you cannot be rejected. Hmm. And if your people, Israel, are smitten before an enemy because they have sinned against you, and they shall turn back and confess your name and pray and make supplication before you in this house, then hear in the heavens and forgive the sin of your people Israel, and bring them back to the land which you gave to them and their fathers. Does this same formula and blueprint work for you today? Do you? I'm just wondering. Do the same, because the sins and all that stuff, that's not, the place ain't doing that. It's you that's doing that, right? This just serves as a place where I'm allowing this setup for you to interact, come correct, understand it through the physical, the spiritual that I'm really trying to get you to understand, right? But if you only stuck on looking at it from the physical, you're gonna be just doing the same thing like what he said. It, offering up the lamb, it is like breaking a dog's neck. The grain offering like pig's blood, right? If you're not understanding what it is that the Father is trying to do, right? So he says in verse 20, 26. When the heavens are shut up and there is no rain, because they have sinned against you, and they shall pray towards this place and confess your name, and turn from their sin because you afflict them, then hear in the heavens and forgive the sin of your servants, your people Israel, for you teach them the good way in which they should walk, and shall send rain on your land, which you have given to your people as an inheritance, when there is scarcity of food in the land, and when there is pestilence or blight or mildew, locusts or grasshoppers, when their enemies distress them in the land of their cities, any plague or any sickness, whatever prayer, whatever supplication is made by anyone, or by all your people Israel, when each one knows his own plague and his own grief, and spreads out his hands to this house, then hear from the heavens your dwelling place, and forgive, and give to everyone according to all his ways, whose heart you know. For you alone know the hearts of the sons of men, so that they fear you to walk in your ways as long as they live in the land which you gave to our fathers. So again, and just keeping in mind, what did he say? Everybody know their own issues, right? So that means that only you can know how to fix them. Only you know how to come correct and how to work through that thing, whatever it is, right? But whenever you do that, whenever you figure it out, I turn my ears to this place. Because we know later on the father responds and said, all that you said, I'm gonna do that. Wherever they at, whatever they do, if my people who are called by my name, again, called by my name, humble themselves, turn from their wicked ways, then I'll hear them. I'll heal their land. I'm gonna return you back from wherever you get scattered and dispersed. I'm gonna bring you back. But you, in order for all of this to happen, in turn for you to turn back to this place, that means you gotta get your temple within you right. All praises.
Question. So when somebody calls your name, what is the normal response?
Hmm.
You usually answer.
Mm-hmm.
So if this people is called by his name,
Mm-hmm.
what's supposed to get our attention?
Mm-hmm.
Righteousness,
Mm-hmm.
judgment, justice, so on and so forth.
All praises.
Uprightness. This is what we're supposed to be responsive to.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're committing transgression and not acknowledging our sin,
Mhm.
we're not being called by his name in that state.
Mhm.
So it's loaded to say that we are
Mhm.
called by his name.
Mm-hmm. All praises. All praises.
Me too. I love it. Oh, with the one we. No, it's an old song. People who call by my name.
All praises.
Oh, that's it.
Verse 32, he says, also concerning a foreigner who is not of your people Israel, but who comes from a far land for the sake of your great name and your strong hand and your outstretched arm, when they come and pray in this house, then hear from the heavens your dwelling place, and do according to all which the foreigner calls to you for, so that all the people of the earth know your name and fear you, as do your people, and to know that this house which I have built is called by your name. When your people go out to battle against their enemies in the way that you send them, and they shall pray to you towards this city which you have chosen, and toward the house which I have built for your name, then shall you hear from the heavens their prayer and their supplication, and maintain their cause. When they sin against you, for there is no one who does not sin, and you become enraged with them and give them to the enemy, and they take them captive to a land far or near, and they shall turn back unto their heart in their, that's a whole loaded line right there, in the land where they had taken captive, and shall turn and make supplication to you in the land of their captivity, saying, we have sinned, we have acted crookedly, and have done wrong. Ain't that the same thing that we just saw with you rendering the bulls of your lips and saying, this is what you're supposed to bring? So that means that when they turn towards this altar, they turn towards this place where he placed his name. I'm still going to accept offerings and sacrifices, even though you didn't come to this place. So it was never about this physical location as much as it was about what he was doing for the people.
Mm-hmm. When we turn towards something, usually that's the direction that our focus is in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All praises. Verse 38. And when they return to you with all their heart and with all their being in the land of their captivity, where they have taken them captive, and they shall pray toward their land which you gave to their fathers, and the city which you have chosen, and toward the house which I have built for your name, then shall you hear from the heavens, your dwelling place. From the where? From the Shamayim, your dwelling place. So again, I keep homing in on the fact that he never thought that this was the end all be all, right?
That part.
So again, when we talking about us operating and functioning as the temple today, we don't see that, oh nah, this whole thing was laid out and it's just showing us a pattern and a blueprint of how we can draw near, how to approach. It's principles in all of these things that are being done in the physical to show us something spiritual with, okay, this is how we draw near. This is what's acceptable before the Father, and this is what's not. This is what's common, and this is what's set apart. This is the distinction that we got to make. Oh, this is what I got to do in order. I got to bring this before him. There's a sacrifice and an offering that has to be made in order for me to get this right with my brother. I stole something from my brother. Now I got to make it right. But the way that I make it right is I got to come and make an offering. And then I gotta get it right with him, give him back what's his plus whatever is owed, and whatever percentage extra it is, then come and bring the offering, right? Like this whole process was set up to show us how to be acceptable before the Father, us being the temple. All praises. Verse 39. Then shall you hear from the heavens, your dwelling place, their prayer and their supplications, and maintain their cause, and forgive your people who have sinned against you. Now, my Elohim, I pray, let your eyes be open and let your ears be attentive to the prayer of this place. And now, arise, O Yahuwah. But who is making a prayer? All praises. And now, arise, O Yahuwah Elohim, to your resting place, you and the ark of your strength. Let your priest, O Elohim, be robed with deliverance. So it wasn't just about looking fresh and the nice garments on, but it was, these garments symbolize what? Something about deliverance? And let your lovingly committed ones rejoice in goodness. O Yahuwah Elohim, do not turn away the face of your anointed. Remember the loving commitment of your servant David. All praises. So the question is, well, how was the temple designed and how can this be reflected in you? Right? That's what we need to figure out. How was it designed? Why was it designed in that way? And then how can we reflect that in us? So the tabernacle / temple design, Exodus 35, verse 20, it says, and all the congregation of the children of Israel withdrew from the presence of Moses, and everyone whose heart lifted him up, and everyone whose spirit moved him came, and they brought the contribution to Yahuwah for the work of the tent of appointment. So they building up this tabernacle and building this place, this dwelling place for his name, this tent of meeting, if you will. It says, and for all its service and for the set apart garments. And they came, both men and women, all whose hearts moved them, and brought earrings and nose rings and rings and necklaces and golden goods, even everyone who made a wave offering of gold to Yahuwah. And every man with whom was found blue and purple and scarlet material, and fine linen, and goat's hair, and rams, skins dyed red, and fine leather, brought them. Everyone who would make a contribution to Yahuwah of silver or bronze brought it, and everyone with whom was found acacia wood for any work of the service brought it. And all the wise-hearted women spun yarn with their hands and brought what they had spun, the blue and the purple, the scarlet material, and the fine linen. And all the women whose hearts lifted them up in wisdom spun the goat's hair. And the rulers brought shoam stones, and the stones to be set in the shoulder garment and in the breastplate, and the spices, and the oil for the light, and the anointing oil, and the sweet incense, and for the sweet incense. The children of Israel brought a voluntary offering to Yahuwah, all the men and women whose hearts moved them to bring all kinds of work, which Yahuwah, by the hand of Moses, had commanded to be done. So notice here that the first step is that it's got to be voluntary, right? Any contributions to building up this temple, that means it's got to be a voluntary contribution. It's got to be something that you did. You have to dig. If you want to build your bodily temple, you got to dig within, and you have to voluntarily offer yourself, right? You got to voluntarily go in and make the conscious effort to say, this is what the contribution is going to be for building this place. Because it's not just going to happen. It's not going to just pop up. Right? And that's where rubber is going to meet the road, starting off, right? Then you're going to see that after that choice is made, there's going to be some work to get it built. And then once it's built, there's going to be some work to maintain it. Right? Exodus 25, verse 1, it says, and Yahuwah spoke to Moses, saying, speak to the children of Israel, that they take up a contribution for me, from everyone whose heart moves him to take up my contribution. And this is the contribution which you take up from them. Gold and silver and bronze and purple, or in blue and purple and scarlet material, and fine linen and goat's hair, and ram skins dyed red, and fine leather and acacia wood, oil for the light, spices for the anointing oil, and for the sweet incense, shoam stones, and stones to be set in the shoulder garment and in the breastplate. And they shall make me a set apart place, and I shall dwell in their midst. So the purpose of you building up this place and offering these voluntary offerings is to build a place that is set apart to the Father for him to dwell in. According to all that I show you. Now, this is where, again, it's not just a willy-nilly thing, but it has to be built up according to the way that he done laid out, right? The pattern of the dwelling place and the pattern of all its furnishings make it exactly so. So notice here that there is a pattern that existed prior to the building of the tabernacle that was given from on high that had to be followed exactly, right? Do you think that there was a reason or a message that could be understood from this pattern that will reveal a greater spiritual matter to us, right? He wants it to be built in a certain way, and do not deviate off of this because I'm trying to tell you something, right? There's something that's going on in the heavenly that this is mirrored and patterned after. And if you build it this way, then it's all kinds of revelation you're going to be able to get about the heavenly without having seen it. So therefore, make it exactly according to the way that I laid it out. Right? 2 Timothy 3:14, it says, but continue in the things which you have learned and have been assured of, knowing of whom you have learned them, And that from a child you have known the holy scriptures, or the set apart scriptures, which are able to make you wise unto salvation through belief which is in Yahushua HaMashiach. All scripture is given by the Ruach of Yahuwah and is profitable for doctrine, for reproof, for correction, and for instruction in righteousness, that the man of Yah may be perfect, thoroughly furnished unto told works. So you being the temple, there is something that is going in you that's supposed to be the furniture and it's going to furnish you. Right? Mm. All praises. Hebrews chapter 8, verse 1. It says, now the summary of what we are saying is, we have such a high priest who is seated at the right hand of the throne of the greatness in the heavens, and who serves in the set apart place and of the true tent. So there's a true tent elsewhere. Which Yahuwah set up, and not man. For every high priest is appointed to offer both gifts and slaughters. So it was also necessary for this one to have somewhat to offer. For if indeed he were on earth, he would not be a priest, since there are priests who offer the gifts according to the Torah, who serve a copy and a shadow of the heavenly. As Moses was warned when he was about to make the tent, for he said, see that you make all according to the pattern shown you on the mountain. Right? So this was supposed to be a replica, a small shadow of something much, much greater. And notice that this thing is supposed to be able to get you right so that you'll be able to enter into the true, not the replica. But now he has obtained a more excellent service, inasmuch as he is also mediator of a better covenant, which was constituted on better promises, right? Then as it goes on, he lets you know that the fault was found in them that was doing the covenant, right? It's not that it was something wrong with the words in themselves or with the Torah. No, it's something wrong with the individuals and who it was written on. So that tells us that means that, oh no, this blueprint, this plan, it was some getting it wrong the whole time. It was some misunderstanding what this thing was really about. All praises. So, yeah, it's small, I know, but in the upper right hand corner, you get it. You have the tabernacle complex blueprint, right? So we got the 12 tribes circled around, and then we got the outer court. You got a bronze altar. You got the brass or the brazen laver. Then you got the set apart place, right? That has the menorah, altar and incense, table with the showbread. And then you got the Kadush Kadushim, the most set apart place, which is where the Ark of the Covenant is, right? So again, we're looking at how this place was designed and why it's designed in this way, right? Starting with the Ark of the Covenant. Second Chronicles 5:2, or Second Chronicles 5:2. It says, and Solomon assembled the elders of Israel and all the heads of the tribes, the chief fathers of the children of Israel in Jerusalem, to bring up the Ark of the Covenant of Yahuwah from the city of David, which is Zion. And all the men of Israel assembled to the sovereign at the festival, which was in the seventh new month or seventh new moon. So now we saw last week how they was rebuilding the temple in days of Ezra and Nehemiah in this time and in this season. And then we seeing that this one is getting built up in this time and in this season. So why is the Father doing this, right? Well, what is the message that he's trying to say? Because it's leading us up to tabernacles, which is supposed to be this tent or this dwelling place where he'll be able to do what? Tabernacle amongst man. So he's preparing the people and getting us ready for that point if we'll see it. All praises. Trumpets going off, and then now it's all right, wake up. Wherever you've been asleep at, wake up. Get ready. This is the last shot. Make yourself ready. I'm giving you this opportunity. I already said if you turn and come, I'm gonna accept you, but it's time to do some work on this house to get everything right so that when I touch down, ain't gonna have to be messing up stuff.
Mhm.
Right?
Mhm.
Next is atonement in between that. Get yourself atoned for, right?
Yeah.
Get rid of it's some things that was done leading up to this point that gotta be covered, if you will. It ain't be atoned for. You need some cleansing to take place. Then after that, now, come on, I'm gonna come and dwell with you. We're gonna party hard, right? It's all a process and a pattern that he done laid out from the beginning. Again, we his temple today, when we going through these feast days, are we seeing? Are we seeing it? And how no, the building up of this temple is an important thing during this fall feast season. They built it the first time, they rebuilt it the second time during this season because it's getting us ready for this season, right?
That's right.
And because we were discussing this earlier today,
All praises.
um, just the revolution or the revolving of these feast days yearly. At the beginning of the year,
Mhm.
we're supposed to blow the trumpets, a
Mhm.
bib, that
Mhm.
new moon, the first month,
Mhm.
the coming of the
Mhm.
newness of the year.
Mhm.
Then this kind of midpoint of the year, because we
Mhm.
have other new moons of remembrance, got four of
Mhm.
them, but this one in particular, blowing of the trumpet, announcing, like you said, hey, there's getting ready to be a gathering.
Mhm.
There's getting ready to be a harvest.
Mhm.
Get yourselves together.
Mhm.
And we were talking about this earlier, beginning of the year, celebrating that blowing of the trumpets, that newness, that new, hey, everything's just waking up now. Just now, I'm waking up, liking that to ourselves. Okay, I'm just waking up. Boom. Okay, and then what do we celebrate right after that? I got it mixed up earlier. Passover first, then Feast of Unleavened Bread. There we go.
Mhm.
And that, to me, when I look at it, it's like that's directed towards us.
Mhm.
We get passed over at that time. We have to put that into remembrance. You know what? He
Mhm.
had this great mercy on us as a
Mhm.
whole.
Mhm.
The Most High did this wonderful thing for us. He could have and should have took us out, but he heard our cry instead. He heard our groanings instead. He saw our affliction instead, and he relieved it. He did that thing for us. Absolutely. Now, this portion of the year, when these heavy feasts come back, it's up to us because that atonement is getting ready to come. And that's what we were talking about earlier. What is the atoning? It's placating, it's cancellation, it's forgiveness, it's reconciliation. We're supposed to direct that outward towards one another.
Mhm.
He did that for us. We're supposed to realize that in the beginning of the year.
Absolutely.
So it's kind of like a day of jubilee
Oh yeah.
within the year.
Mhm.
Not only do
Notice
we,
that the Jubilee is okay.
yep,
Yeah, all praises.
exactly. So not only do we have a year of jubilee, but we have a day of jubilee every single year
Mhm.
where we're supposed to be doing. If we're found not afflicting ourselves, not leaving something off, not forgiving, not reconciling, that's when you get cut off from your people.
Mhm.
So it just, like I said, we was talking about this earlier, and that's just what it brings to my mind. Just that now we're supposed to be directing that outward during this time, like we're talking about. There's getting ready to be the announcement is made. There's getting ready to be something that's happening. Start direct you if you hadn't. What's that? The parable of the servant. Who's how much you owe? Let me start go half that. You only owe half that.
Mhm.
What you owe? Of course, you don't know that much no more. Like we, you know.
All praises. So, verse 4, it says, and all the elders of Israel came, and the Levites took up the ark, and they brought up the ark, the tent of appointment, and all the set apart utensils that were in the tent. The Levite priest brought them up, and King Solomon and all the congregation of Israel who were assembled to him before the ark were slaughtering so many sheep and cattle that could not be counted or numbered. And the priest brought in the ark of the covenant to Yahuwah to its place, to the speaking to the speaking place of the house, to the most set apart place, under the wings of the cherubim. And the cherubim spread their wings over the place of the ark, and the cherubim covered the ark and its poles. And the poles were so long that the ends of the poles of the ark were seen from the set apart place in front of the speaking place, but they were not seen from outside. And they were and they are there to this day. There was not in the ark but the two tablets which Moses put there at Horeb when Yahuwah made a covenant with the children of Israel, and they came out of Mizraim or Egypt. And it came to be when the priests came out of the most set apart place, for all the priests who were present had set themselves apart. There was none to watch by division. And the Levite singers and all those of Asaph and Haman and Yeduthun with their sons and their brothers stood at the east end of the slaughter place, dressed in white linen, having cymbals and harps and lyres. And with them 120 priests sounded with trumpets. Then it came to be, as the trumpeters and singers were as one in one place on one accord, to make one sound to be heard in the praising and thanking Yahuwah. And when they lifted up their voice with the trumpets and with cymbals and with instruments of song and giving praise to Yahuwah, for he is Tober good, for his loving commitment is everlasting, that the house of Yahuwah, was filled with the cloud. And the priests were unable to stand and perform the service because of the cloud, for the esteem of Yahuwah filled the house of Elohim. So notice in the bottom right there, we got the picture of the Ark of the Covenant. And it was supposed to have the tablets, the jar of manna, and Aaron's rod that budded, right? But we seeing that when they building up the temple, at this point in time, only thing left in it was the tablets. So notice how over a passing of time, there is a maintenance that's supposed to take place. Because if not, then you're gonna find that stuff is gonna start dropping off, stuff gonna be found missing, and you're gonna have some things that might be lacking in your temple.
Come on.
Right?
Come on.
All praises.
Come on. Thank the self.
All praises. Exodus 25, verse 10. It says, and they shall make an ark of acacia wood, 2.5 cubits long, a cubit and a half wide, and a cubit and a half high. And you shall overlay it with clean gold. Inside and outside you shall overlay it. And you shall make on it a molding of gold all around. And you shall cast 4 rings of gold for it, and put them in its 4 corners, 2 rings on one side and 2 rings on the other side. And you shall make poles of acacia wood and overlay them with gold, and shall put the poles into the rings of the sides of the ark to lift up the ark by them. The poles are in the rings of the ark, for are in the rings of the ark, they are not taken from it. And into the ark you shall put the witness which I give you, and you shall make a lid of atonement of clean gold, 2.5 cubits long, and a cubit and a half wide. And you shall make 2 cherubim of gold, and make them of beaten work at the 2 ends of the lid of atonement. And make 1 cherub at one end, and the other cherub at the other end. Make cherubim from the lid of atonement at its 2 ends. And the cherubim shall be spreading out their wings above, covering the lid of atonement with their wings, and their faces toward each other. The faces of the cherubim turn toward the lid of atonement. And you shall put the lid of atonement on the top of the ark, and put into the ark the witness which I give you, and I shall meet with you there. And from above the lid of atonement, from between the two cherubim which are on the ark of the witness, I shall speak to you all that which I command you concerning the children of Israel. Right? So the question just becomes, what was in the ark of the covenant, and how can these things be in you? Right? So we know that it's those three things, but how can these things be in you? That's the question, right? Commandments is a no-brainer, right? Like that. I mean, it should be a no-brainer. I mean, it should be. Hebrews 9 verse 3, it says, and after the second veil, the part of the tent which is called most set apart, to which belong the golden censer and the ark of the covenant, overlaid on all sides with gold, and in which were the golden pot that held manna, and the rod of Aaron that budded, and the tablets of the covenant. Right? So number 17, verse 1, it says, and Yahuwah spoke to Moses, saying, speak to the children of Israel, and take from them a rod from each father's house, all their leaders according to their father's house, 12 rods. Write each one's name on his rod, and write Aaron's name on the rod of Levi, for there is one rod for the head of each father's house. You shall then place them in the tent of appointment before the witness, where I meet with you. And it shall be that the rod of the man whom I choose buds, and I shall rid myself of the grumblings of the children of Israel, which they grumble against you. So something about this rod was, it symbolized the one who was chosen.
That's right.
Okay,
Come on.
all praises.
That sure is a selection.
Because all of them represent authority, authority to guide, direct, so on and so forth. But in order to get rid of all the babbling, I can do this too, and this, that, and the other, or you ain't nobody daddy.
Mm-hmm.
You know how people can get.
Mm-hmm.
So why is he doing it? Because
I put my pants on one leg at a time too.
Yeah.
Or he don't even do it like I would. I would do it different than he do. He don't say what I say.
See what I would, yeah.
Yeah.
You can't do it like me. To get rid of that chat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Shut the noise.
All praises. And Moses spoke to the children of Israel and all their leaders, and gave them a rod each, for each leader according to their father's houses, 12 rods. And the rod of Aaron was among their rods. So Moses placed the rods before Yahuwah in the tent of witness. And it came to be on the next day that Moses went into the tent of witness, and saw that the rod of Aaron of the house of Levi had budded, and brought forth buds, and blossomed, and bore ripe almonds.
I said how? Like, not only did it bud, but it fruited and brought forth ripe almonds overnight. Woo!
And that's something that is absolutely of the Most High, because I remember there's time when you have cut down tree branches, and we've had the tree branches in the backyard, but it took weeks for them to still bud because there's still life in them, and you can root a tree cutting. You absolutely can. There's still life in it, absolutely.
Mhm.
But it took weeks for it to bud.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just a tiny bud, let
Yeah.
alone flower and bring forth some kind of fruit from the plant.
And right.
No.
And right. Yeah.
Right.
It wasn't doing all that.
Woo.
Not in our strength.
All praises. So again, and just noticing, it's bringing forth it's blossoming, bringing forth these almonds, and we don't see the reason. Something had to do with these almonds. So, and I didn't put that in this lesson, but kind of the context here is that in Israel, almond trees bloom well before everything else. So they're the first things in the season to start to come to life. like almonds in the wintertime start to bring forth, like start to flower, and they start to, yeah. So that's, you're gonna see that that's the connection that's going on here. So Jeremiah chapter 1 verse 4 says, now the word of Yahuwah came to me saying, before I formed you in the belly, I knew you. And before you came out of the womb, I did set you apart. I appointed you a prophet to nations. And said Master Yahuwah, see, I do not know how to speak, for I am a youth. Now notice that the context here is you was chosen. I chose you well before. Mm-hmm. Before you even knew it. I saw you and I chose you. Well, Aaron, I chose you.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll see with these almonds, what they doing, right?
All praises.
So verse 6, it says, and said Master Yahuwah, see, I do not know how to speak, for I am a youth. And Yahuwah said to me, do not say I am a youth, but go to all to whom I send you and speak whatever I command you. Do not fear their faces, for I am with you to deliver you, declares Yahuwah. Then Yahuwah put forth his hand and touched my mouth and said to me, and Yahuwah said to me, see, I have put my words in your mouth. See, I have this day set you over the nations and over the kingdoms, to root out and to pull down, to destroy and to overthrow, to build and to plant. And the word of Yahuwah came to me, saying, what do you see, Yirmiyahu? And I said, I see a branch of an almond tree. And Yahuwah said to me, you have seen well, for I am watching over my word to do it. So the word for almond tree is H8247, Shaked, from H8245, the almond tree, right? As being the earliest in bloom, the almond tree. H8245, Shakad, a primitive root meaning to be alert, that is sleepless. So now the trumpet's been going out. They're supposed to be waking you up. Now it says, hence to be on the lookout, whether for good or ill, to hasten, to remain, to wake, to watch for. So notice he said that word for watching is the root, shakad, and then the almond tree is shakade. He's doing a play of words, saying, so what do you see? I see an almond tree. You see well, for I'm watching over my word to do it.
All praises.
But then also knowing that this almond tree, it has all kinds of significant meaning. I can look and see how the almond tree interacts in the seasons. All praises. So just, could it be that these symbolize having a watchful eye for the covenant, right? This staff that budded, keep a watchful eye on this covenant, right? It's, you was chosen for it. There's a choosing that done took place. I'm deciding to place my name here. Okay, all praises. Deuteronomy 8:1, looking at the manna. Guard to do every command which I command you today, that you might live, and shall increase, and go in and shall possess the land of which Yahuwah swore to your fathers. And you shall remember that Yahuwah your Elohim led you all the way these 40 years in the wilderness to humble you. So to stay humble, to prove you, and to know what is in your heart, whether you guard his commands or not. And he humbled you and let you suffer hunger and fed you with manna, which you did not know, nor your fathers know. To make you know, why was they fed with the manna? To make you know that man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of Yahuwah. So can you have this jar of manna in you?
Absolutely.
All praises.
I was gonna say the manna just makes me think, like you said, and you shall remember that your Elohim led you the way all this long, these 40 years, is something to remember. So not only do you have the assurance of being selected, but you have the remembrance of what he brought you through. And you have the testimony right there in your own mind, in your own life, in your own being. I know of a surety he has led me. And when I did not know what was going to become of me, ooh, hallelujah. When I did not know what was going to become of me, somehow I'm still standing right here.
Mhm.
He did not allow my shoes to wear out.
Mhm.
He did not allow me to do away with myself when I sought to hurt myself in the era of my life. He did not allow me to be overtaken.
Mhm.
Sorry.
All praises.
No. But yeah, that's just what it makes me think of.
All
That
praises.
remembrance, you being brought into remembrance of how you did suffer, that it was not all in vain.
All
It was
praises.
not for nothing.
All praises. And then keep in mind that Mashiach, the same very word, right? Said, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeded from the mouth of. He also said that I am the bread of heaven.
Yep.
Hmm. All praises. Revelation 2 and 17. It says, he who has an ear, let him hear what the spirit of the Ruach says to the assemblies. To him who overcomes, I shall give some of the hidden manna to eat. I shall give him a white stone, and on the stone a renewed name written, which no one knows except him who receives it. So you don't, all praises. You don't see how all of these things and these instruments that was going on in the physical temple, that they existed in the heavenly temple,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Yeah.
All praises. Second Chronicles 5 and 2, it says, and Solomon assembled the elders of Israel and all the heads of the tribes, the chief fathers of the children of Israel in Jerusalem, to bring up the ark of the covenant of Yahuwah from the city of David, which is in Zion. And all the men of Israel assembled to the king at the festival, which was in the seventh new month. And all the elders of Israel came, and the Levites took up the ark, and they brought up the ark, the tent of appointment, and all the set apart utensils that were in the tent. And the Levite priests brought them up. My bad. This is we going back to this slide again. Yeah, I knew that it was there, but I was trying to figure out if it was a reason why I might have put it in there a second time, but no, it's not. It's just a duplicate slide.
The first time you did go through verse 14, though. Yeah, you did go through. This time you only went through verse 10.
Okay, all praises. So maybe it was just to get to that point, but we already touched on it. That notice that between the time of the tabernacle and the building of the temple, things had gone missing out of the ark. So the parallel is that the same thing can occur in us as time passes. So the question was just, is it possible that these things can diminish in you over time as well? The manna, the jar of manna, can it diminish in you? Can you be forgetful? He said that in that same, that's when you get in the land and things are going well, you going to start to forget.
We can get full.
That's what it makes me think of when I consider having a manna within us, is remembering to be grateful in them times where you don't get everything that you want. Because, yeah, it's something about not allowing someone to have exactly what they want. And often, or them not getting what they expected or hoped for. Often, whatever's in them is going to come rising to the top. Because now, whatever face was being put on to get what they wanted, they ain't got no energy to put that face on when they realize they ain't gonna get it.
You want to know who you are? See, well, you told no. Yeah, that's who you are. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
All praises.
Remembering to be grateful.
All praises. So again, notice how the backbitings, the murmurings, how certain things can come, and that means that what? Something is not quite in your temple the way that it's supposed to be.
Exactly.
Right? It's some work that might need to be done in rebuilding and restoring this temple, some maintenance that need to get done. All praises.
Yeah.
Now the showbread, right? Exodus 25:23. And you shall make a table of acacia wood, 2 cubits long, a cubit wide, and a cubit and a half high, and shall overlay it with clean gold, and make a molding of gold all around, and shall make for it a rim and a handbreadth all around, and shall make a gold molding for the rim all around. Now notice that the pattern of this table is similar. Now we in the set apart place now, but it's similar to the building of the ark.
Mhm.
Just notice that there are similarities between the two.
And whatever is on that table is so sacred that you're still supposed to use these poles to lift it,
All
just like with
praises.
the Ark of the Covenant.
Hmm.
It's not something to be trifled with.
Hmm. All praises. Verse 26, and you shall make for it 4 rings of gold, and put the rings on the 4 corners that are at its 4 legs. The rings are close to the rim as holders for the poles to lift the table. Like, really think about how deep that is. Don't touch this table.
Mm-hmm.
Lift it by the poles.
Mm-hmm.
All praises. All praises.
The only thing that you live by. This is the showbread equivalent to the word.
Hmm. Hmm. All praises. And you shall make the poles of acacia wood and overlay them with gold, and the table shall be lifted with them. And you shall make its dishes, and its ladles, and its jars, and its bowls for pouring. Make them of clean gold. And you shall put the showbread on the table before me continually. Hmm. Leviticus 24, verse 5, it says, and you shall take fine flour and bake 12 cakes with it, 2/10 of an ephah in each cake, and you shall set them in 2 rows, 6 in each row, on the clean table before Yahuwah. Hmm. Now, it was how many tribes? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All praises. All praises. And you shall put clear frankincense on each row, and it shall be on the bread as a remembrance portion. Hmm. That's odd. An offering made by fire to Yahuwah. On every Shabbat, he is to arrange it before Yahuwah continually, from the children of Israel, an everlasting covenant. And it shall be for Aaron and his sons, and they shall eat it in the set apart place, because it is most set apart to him from the offerings of Yahuwah made by fire, an everlasting law. Right? Then just something to keep in mind, Leviticus 2, verse 11. No grain offering which you bring to Yahuwah is made with leaven. For you do not burn any leaven or any honey in an offering to Yahuwah made by fire. So these got to be some unleavened cakes.
Come on.
All praises. All praises. Why no leaven? Why no honey? Right? Well, what do these things do? What's the effect that they have? Leaven is going to puff it up. Honey is sticky. It's going to cause things to stick to it, bring things from outside into your dough.
Mm-hmm.
It's also sweet.
Too much honey. Probably the stomach to be messed up.
All praises. All praises. Exodus 25, verse 31 says, and you shall make a lampstand. Now we on the menorah of clean gold. The lampstand is made of beaten work. Its base and its shaft, its cups and its ornamental knobs and blossoms are from it. And 6 branches shall come out of its sides, 3 branches of the lampstand out of one side, and 3 branches of the lampstand out of the other side. 3 cups made like almond flowers. So you keep seeing how these almonds keep on being part of this design.
Mm-hmm.
On one branch, with ornamental knob and blossom, with 3 cups made like almond flowers. On the other branch, with ornamental knob and blossom. For the 6 branches coming out of the lampstand. And on the lampstand itself are 4 cups made like almond flowers, with ornamental knob and blossom, and a knob under the first 2 branches of the same, and a knob under the second 2 branches of the same, and a knob under the third 2 branches of the same, according to the 6 branches coming out of the lampstand. Their knobs and their branches are of the same, all of it one beaten work of clean gold. And you shall make 7 lamps for it, and they shall mount its lamps so that they give light in front of it, and its snuffers and their trays are of clean gold. It is made of a talent of clean gold with all these utensils. So see and do according to the pattern, again, that pattern, which was shown you on the mountain. Every single part of this existed prior to Moses knowing anything about what to build.
Mm-hmm.
This exists, and I'll make it just like how I tell you to make it. All praises. Proverbs 6:23. What is this light and how can this menorah be in you?
Come on.
Right?
Come on.
You don't keep noticing how every single part and aspect of this temple is you as its temple. Proverbs 6:23, it says, for the command is a lamp, and the Torah is a light, and reproofs of discipline a way of life. Psalm 119, 105, your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. So that means that if you put this light in you, just like it's in this set apart place, then what? It's supposed to come out of you. It's supposed to shine. Like he said, it's supposed to shine on everything.
Mm-hmm.
Matthew 5:13. You are the salt of the earth, but if salt becomes tasteless, how shall it be seasoned? For it is no longer of any use but to be thrown out and trodden down by men. You are the light of the world. It is impossible for a city to be hidden on a mountain, nor do they light a lamp or a menorah and put it under a basket, but on a lampstand, and it shines to all those in the house. Let your light so shine before men, so that they see your told works and praise your Father who is in the heavens. So you see how you're supposed to be operating as this temple.
Mm-hmm.
Exodus 27, verse 20. And you are to command the children of Israel to bring you clear oil of pressed olives for the light, to cause the lamp to burn continually. I always brings up the flickering light, right? But it's not really how it's supposed to be. The service, the priest and their service in this place was supposed to keep this light going at all times, strong,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
right?
Yes, sir.
In a tent of appointment outside the veil, which is before the witness, Aaron and his sons are to tend to it from evening until morning before Yahuwah, for a law forever to the generations from the children of Israel.
Those generations, lamp to burn continually. Like it doesn't die out with one vessel.
Mhm.
It's supposed to be instilled, upheld, and keep going.
Immediately, what it just made me think of is Proverbs 20 and 27 says, the spirit of man is the candle of the Most High.
Mhm.
We're talking about the formation of the candlestick.
All praises.
Well, the candlestick is in there in the holiest of holies, supposed to always have this light burn. It's supposed to continuously be fed. Why? Because it's searching all the inward parts of his belly. So, that's what it just makes me
All
think of, the
praises.
symbolism of that candlestick. Can this be in us? Absolutely. It's supposed to be the spirit of the Most High, always checking us, always searching the inward parts of our belly, always helping us to correct. So,
All praises. And go ahead.
Just makes me think about too, like if the light is within you, that means that to Abiyah, he sees all things. There's no, part to where anything could be hidden before him. So that light is shining. So we can't hide ourselves from Abiyah. He knows it all. He sees it all.
All praises. All praises. So there is more to this, but now is a total time to stop.
All praises.
So we're gonna take a brief intermission until next time. But yeah, basically the essence of this lesson is just really for us, like I said, to see especially during this feast season, the importance of us really going and looking at, okay, look at the temple and make sure the temple is right, because we expecting this visitation, or we expecting this presence of Elohim, but you gotta make sure that that place is right for him to touch down in, right?
Mhm.
And this is really, it extends beyond just this feast season to a daily, everyday thing, but
Sure.
especially during this season,
Yeah.
something to think about. Like he had it set up during this season, the temple was getting built up. It ain't been built up, and whatever has been being neglected, now is the time to get it right. Now is the time to get these foundations of the temple laid. Now is the time to, so now is the time to say, okay, let me return to them first works.
Yeah.
Let me, yeah, I let some things slip in the temple, and I'm looking around, and as I'm looking, now that you mention it, you know, it's like, what was that on Color Purple? When, unfortunately, but y'all gonna understand, like, if you know, you know, and I know y'all know. On the Color Purple, when, like, Suge was coming to town.
Oh yeah.
And it was like this whole preparation. You see Mister and you see Silly running around. Should coming to town. Should coming to town. Should coming to town. And they ripping and running. And now these two, they know how to get along all of a sudden. And everybody is doing that, right?
Yep.
This is the same way that it's supposed to be with the arrival of the king.
As I say, kind of like he gave command for the Sabbath. It's not that, you know, well, I'll put it like this. He knew we have potential to forget.
Mhm.
He knows we have, as soon as he knows we have potential to neglect, to forget, to get caught up day by day. So it has to be in writing. And I call it the McDonald's the McDonald's caution situation. Like in anybody's right mind, you would know that a cup of coffee is hot. But they have to put not only that, but it's somebody
If you do burn yourself,
screwed up.
yeah, if you did burn
lawsuit.
yourself, wasn't my fault.
Exactly.
Wasn't on me.
They had to put
You should have
caution.
known better. You know you got some coffee.
That's the reason why they had a lawsuit, because they
Mhm.
didn't used to have caution hot on the cups. Somebody spilled the coffee on themselves, burnt themselves, and sued McDonald's for it. But you would think in your right mind, you asked for a cup of coffee. They're not going to give you iced coffee.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to give you hot coffee.
Mm-hmm.
But I liken that to how he wrote these things out. He did it and wrote it for us because we have the potential to
Absolutely.
burn ourselves through our ignorance.
Absolutely.
And I look at it like these feast days, full transparency here. It's like, man, if I'm waiting till the feast days to get it done, I'm a little late.
Mhm.
I'm a little behind,
Mhm.
you know, because this is
For the exam the day of.
exactly like
Cram
this.
session.
Exactly. This is literally it's feast day, literally cram session. If we
Mhm.
wait until the feast days to put this stuff
Mhm.
into employment, I gotta do better, fam. I gotta do better. You know, that's what I'm gonna say. I gotta do better, fam.
Be the first one to be I as well. Like these lessons, when a father brings these lessons out, it's not pointing at no one individual or anything like that. They for whoever has ears to hear, including the one who put it together. Like his word is not partial to nobody,
Come on.
and it's a double-edged sword. So yeah,
Sir.
like definitely, I myself putting this together, getting cut up. Like yeah, okay, yeah, time to yeah, some things that's lacking in the temple. Let's pay more attention to that. Oh nah, let's go back and well, let's go in here. Okay, clear off these cobwebs. It's been a minute since that. It's all okay. Boom, boom, boom. It's time to get it together. But that's again the essence and the beauty of it is that these are appointed times. They are rehearsals to say, hey, I'm giving y'all because I'm that compassionate opportunity cycle, like you said, a cycle. Remember this, I know it's been some time since the beginning of the year when you was going through them feasts and you was on a high, and then in that time in between, you got back into regular life and some things done went to the wayside. You done got caught slipping a little bit. But that's again the essence of the lesson is all right. Well, now how do we what do we need to pay attention to keep this temple maintained? What do we need to do to keep the upkeep and to make sure that this temple is able to function properly? Because when things aren't being upkept in the temple and in the tabernacle, then that means that things can't be done.
Yeah.
That part.
Right?
Yeah.
Like without a priest, who gonna offer the sacrifice?
Come on.
Right? If all the vessels are tainted, you can have a priest, but the vessels haven't been set apart. So what do? We can't come before him with these. Like you gonna keep finding that this whole thing has to be maintained from top to bottom in order for the service, your reasonable service to flow right, in order for it to function right. Right.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, ain't no fire on the altar, then ain't no sacrifice. Like it's all kinds of little things that have to be done to make sure that this temple is operating and functioning the way that it's supposed to. And if anything gets neglected, then one break in that chain is gonna break the whole chain. So yeah, and that's the nature of we're gonna get into that next week. Of that's kind of the nature of those who the try not to get too ahead of myself, but to those who this temple was not for
Yeah.
and who the temple wasn't given to, and these instructions of how to operate and come to this temple, you don't see that there's a different value system. Not to get too ahead, but you don't see, well, because of the neglect and because of us not doing what we were supposed to do in upkeeping the temple and the things that were supposed to take place at the temple, then that'll open up the door and allow for what? Those who ain't gonna respect it to come in, i.e., Babylon, Rome, and what you see how they treat it. They're gonna burn it down, they're gonna tear it down. They don't have no respect for the temple.
Sacrifice pig on the altars.
Mm-hmm.
Having their way with harlots in the temple.
Mm-hmm.
Using
So,
cups for whatever,
mm-hmm.
utensils for whatever they
Mhm.
want to use it for.
All praises. So, like I said, we're gonna see, and then we're gonna also get into it a little bit more with us being the temple, why it's so important. Come out of Babylon, my people. They not gonna this is how they treat my temple, my set apart place. Right? So you don't see how all of this is gonna be all connected, but yeah, all praises.
Which is equivalent to the temple is the people.
Mhm.
The temple, the people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know because I'm just taking a glance at it and I don't even know what I'm looking at. Oh, okay. Not sure. I'm sure that there is probably a reason why they call it that. But yeah, all praises. All praises.
What's that?
Your temple.
Oh, the temple inside of the head. Part of the
Mhm.
temple. Uh-huh.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Look
All
at that.
praises.
Come on with it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All
To the
praises.
Most High, which, well, that is the lesson. That's all praises to the Most High. That was as usual. As usual, when the Most High have his hand over, it's always fire. It's always
All
definitely a
praises.
told lesson, very needful and right on time. Like you said, especially during these feasting times, these things that need to be in our remembrance that we can start to employ, that we can start to, just get back into the swing of things and just do our best to continue on in year round, not just be up on a high during the feasts and back down low and lax. And no, let's, get into these rehearsals and keep this continuous rehearsal going on day in and day out, that our lights may not be flickering as as you say all the time, that we may not have a flickering light, that we may be the light set up on top, not under the bush but on top, that all men may see us and our good works and glorify our LOI which is in heaven. Hallelujah. So if that is everything, at least for this time, then we're going to go ahead and say shalom. May the Most High keep us all. May He hear us in our time of distress. May He, like I said, may He keep us. May He make us exponentially more than we are this day. And may that be for our toe and not for our destruction. All right. Chop it up in the chat. Y'all got any questions? Put it in the chat. We would love to answer them later on and get back to you on that. Don't forget to look out on the Rock Ministries Facebook page, as well as check us out on Hebrew Connect. And we will have some, it's not up yet, but we will have more feast day and children's activities in regards to these fall feasts coming up extremely soon. Those are almost done. So don't forget to check us out there. Also, listen to some of the rock music. Listen to some of the music that's coming out, glorifying and praising the Most High. Hallelujah. All right, hallelujah. Shabbat shalom to everybody. Until next time, absolutely. Love y'all. We're out.